So, it's a non-financial application, this question, of series and sequences. It's usually series, by the way, because you're adding stuff on and all that kind of thing. Look carefully at the question. Because it's not in the language you're used to, if someone repays this and someone borrows this, it can often cause a bit of a disjoint. You're like, I don't know where to start with this. However, if I tell you in advance, okay, this kind of question essentially is no different at all to what you've been dealing with already. Okay? Hopefully that helps you. We're going to take the same approach. We're going to build it from scratch, build the series, try and get like a general term, and then we'll see what we can do, general sum, then see what we can do to actually answer the question they're posing to us. Okay? So, let's start with the setup. A hospital patient receives a 10 milligram dose of medicine at intervals of 4 hours. Now, you tell me, what do you think is the most important piece of information in that sentence? 4 hours? Anything else that's important? 10 milligrams? Okay, now, by the way, just for this particular example, I'm going to suggest that this 4 hours here is actually a red herring. They're just putting more information to see if you're paying attention. But you tell me why that's a needless piece of information by the time we get to the end of the question. Okay? During each interval, the amount of medicine in the body reduces to 75% of the amount present at the start. 75%. Okay? So again, crucial piece of information. Suppose you could write it as 75%, right, per interval. What's this going to mean as a series question? Every interval you're going to be multiplying by 75% or 3/4. Okay? So 3/4 as a number, what is its significance to our question? It's going to be probably the common ratio that we're going to have appear, right? If that doesn't make sense to you yet, as we build the series, hopefully it will become apparent. Okay? All right. And he's getting, this is how much is being lost, but then at the end of that period, that interval, he gets a new loss. Now the question is, could there always be less than 40 milligrams of medicine in the body, irrespective of how long the treatment goes for? Okay? So can someone tell me why we didn't need this piece of information? Yeah, it doesn't matter how long, it could be 4 hours or 4 minutes or 4 seconds, because according to this question, they're not actually asking for a period of time. Like, how long will it take to get to this? They're just saying, for any period of time, it should always meet this condition. That's what we're required to prove. Okay? So let's begin. And we need to set up some terms and language and terminology for ourselves. So I'm going to call this, I'm going to call it M for medicine. Let M of N be. Now, I can define this in a variety of ways, and the way that I define it will sometimes make the question easier for me to solve, sometimes make it harder. Okay? I'm going to suggest, let's make it the amount of medicine left, the amount of medicine, or in the body, if you like, the amount of medicine in the body remaining after. Now, by the way, if you've got another color, that would be helpful, because you want to highlight things like after. That's a crucial equation, formula, difference-making word, right? After the nth interval. Not before. Okay. So having set that up for myself, and in some ways that's a hard part because you don't get told this is what you need to set up, I can start to build my series, right? So M1, at the end of the first interval, so I guess after 4 hours have passed, what things have happened? What things have happened? Well, we've given the patient their first lot of medicine, right? So there was that 10 milligrams that we started with, okay? At the beginning we gave them the medicine, and then time has elapsed, right? So I'm looking at the after, or at the end of, the nth interval. So how much medicine is left now? 75% of that, right? So 3/4. Done. That's what we've got in milligrams. So 7.5. Okay. I could simplify it, but it doesn't really help me that much because I'm going to need this term later on. Okay. The next interval. What has happened? Two things have happened. The same two things that happened in the first interval. Namely, we gave more medicine and some of it, it faded away or was used up or whatever. Okay. So which happened first? Did we give medicine first or did it fade away first? We gave it first, right? At the start of each interval, we give the medicine. So there was what was left before, and the next instant, we give more medicine. There's the new 10 milligrams, okay? And then 4 hours pass, right? Okay? Does that make sense? Now, it's really crucial that you get what's happening very carefully, and you talk it out to yourself, so you know, for instance, you don't multiply by 3/4 first, and then add the 10, because that'll give you a totally different series, right? Now, I'll expand this. Usually expanding is a bad idea. Usually factorizing is nicer, okay? But expanding here shows us that the series is starting, okay? I also want to draw your attention to the fact that even though this question has nothing to do with money, can you see the similarities, right? So here, that 10 is giving more medicine, right? Which really is analogous to like making a repayment, something like that. Okay, and there's 3/4 here, 3/4. That's the medicine sort of dissipating. What might that be similar to in a financial situation? It wouldn't make sense for it to be interest. Can someone tell me why it doesn't work for interest? You invest money. What does interest do to your money? It makes it bigger, right? So if it was interest, it should be 1 plus something like 1.25 or whatever. Okay. What this is doing is making it smaller. So what does it behave like? In terms of finance term, I guess the closest thing would be depreciation. Okay. Because like I bought my car. Right, literally, I bought my car, and the second I bought it, it's getting less and less valuable. Okay, so that's that 3/4 thing happening. It's getting smaller as well. Okay, so is that enough to get a pattern? Maybe. I'm going to do one more just to be safe. Okay, M3. What happens? I've got the amount after the end of the second interval, and then I add my new 10. Right. After I've added my medicine, 4 hours passes, and by that time, we've lost 1/4 of what was left. Okay, so again, I'm going to expand one more time. Now, I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to let you have a think now without me holding your hand. How am I going to use this to prove what was asked, which was, irrespective of how long I go, M4, M5, M6, M600, okay? They're saying this amount, whatever it is, will never exceed 40 milligrams. How would you do that? I'll let you have a think about it. Come back in a few minutes.